Welcome back to Let's Talk About Scams. I'm your host, Joyce Petrowski, founder of R.O.S.E, Resources Outreach to Safeguard the Elderly. You can find more information on our website at roseadvocacy.org. You can find the links to sign up for our newsletter. We have a monthly mailed and emailed newsletter. You can sign up for one or both. You'll find our social media links on our homepage as well. Well, today I'm talking to a gentleman by the name of Zachary, and he is with a senior move management company called R.O.S.E, and he's going to tell us all about senior move managers and what they do and why you might want one and where's a good place to do some research to find a reputable senior move manager. So let's get started. Well, hi, Zach. Thank you for joining me today. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Hello, thank you so much for having me. My name is Zachary. I'm from R.O.S.E. We specialize in helping seniors with the downsizing process. So often they might feel overwhelmed by that transition. So our whole goal is just to help guide them through that and help reduce the stress. We started about 10 years ago up in Wisconsin. It's our little family business. So it was fun for me between college semesters to kind of come and help be a mover. And then we moved down to Arizona where I've really gotten to be more involved and it's been a lot of fun.
Okay, so R.O.S.E, is that an organization that specializes just with seniors, helping them move?
We definitely specialize with seniors. That's our primary. Individuals usually seek us out, but we can definitely help any age group. I've helped definitely people in their 40s. I've even helped a college student once.
Oh, okay. So what, helping people move, a lot of times when I think of that, it's you call a mover and get it scheduled and they come and, they might even pack you up and then, unload things at your new place. How are you guys different?
Right. So oftentimes when we meet an individual, they're usually downsizing into a smaller home, a senior community from a much larger area. And they just can't take everything with them. So our goal is just to work with them one-on-one and just identify what items mean the most to them, which ones do they use the most. So it's just a little bit more personal and just prioritizes taking the things that are most essential in their lives versus just bringing everything. So that way when they get to their new space, it's actually livable. It's not just full of a bunch of unnecessary clutter. So it's usually even a little bit safer for them. And we do a floor layout so that way it's just as navigable for them. So that way when they walk into their new space, it's ready to go and everything in there is usually just a good positive memory. It's much more positive experience than just moving.
All right. So do you guys work right alongside with like the realtors and the moving companies?
We do. So usually a realtor might call us and tell us they have an individual moving into a senior community, but they're feeling overwhelmed by the packing process or the thought of moving is too overwhelming or things like that are stories they hear all the time. So typically what we do is we meet with the individual and we just sort of figure out their needs, what's most helpful for them. They usually have every client's totally unique. And that's really part of the fun. But they all have their different things that they're looking for. But really at the end of the day, they have a lot of things on their mind. And our goal is just to sort of bring in a layer of peace to that so they don't have to worry about so many things. So for example, after we sort of know that we're doing the move, we'll coordinate the mover for them. So that way they're still just talking to me. And we have a lot of great moving partners. And we'll coordinate for them. So that way they're only just talking to me, and that usually reduces a lot of that stress of having to coordinate sometimes like 10, 15 things at once. Instead, they just have to tell me, all right, Zach, I want to move, July 10th or whenever they want to move, and then I'll make it happen. And that's one fewer thing that they have to worry about.
Okay. So what if they, like you said, they're downsizing? They have a lot of stuff they need to get rid of. You guys help them determine how they're going to get rid of it and coordinate all of that as well?
Yep, absolutely. So we have this nice process that we use where we help identify what items they want to take with them. And sort of just those are like the number one priority pieces. And then after that, we can help sell items for them. We have a lot of great partners that we use for sale of items, a lot of great charitable organizations that we donate a lot of items to. And that's the big thing too, is a lot of times they're worried about letting things go. Just they've had a ton of great memories with all of these pieces. I'm just you kind of reassuring them like this is still going to go to someone who's absolutely going to love it. This like somebody would love to have this shirt or like this pot or things like that. People who are just totally less fortunate would be thrilled to have this, and it's going to go to someone who's going to absolutely love it and cherish it. We're not just going to throw it away. It's gonna be repurposed for someone who's going to love it, and that usually helps with the process too.
Okay. And then do you guys work a lot with the seniors' families that might be helping them as well?
We do. And I would say it's maybe about 50-50. Sometimes we just work with the seniors and the family isn't super involved. Other times we work exclusive with the families. The senior might be in rehab or they're just not able or just not able to participate. So sometimes we'll work with just the families. Really, whatever is easiest on the family is what we'll do.
Okay. And then I just thought of something when we were talking about working with the family, and you had said sometimes the senior's just not available, like if they're in rehab or something else. Does the senior have to have any sort of like legal power of attorney for a family member that they have to then show you that they have authority to do this stuff?
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. So we're very, and there's no wiggle room at all on that. If a senior is unable to make the decisions for himself or herself, we need the POA, or we're not allowed to touch anything. We're not allowed to move anything. We need, yes, that's a great question. We absolutely need that.
And is it just a general like durable power of attorney? Because I know they have a financial power of attorney. They have all these different powers of attorney. Is it just the general one that works, or is there a specific one that you need?
As long as it's sort of covering the area that we're going to be dealing with. So if we're just like doing the sale of items, that might be different than if we're, doing the full process. But generally, the more holistic, the better. Again, just it covers more bases and it just makes things cleaner.
Another reason for everybody to have powers of attorney, because you have them all done and ready at the time when it's needed, right? Instead of trying to figure it out after the fact.
Right, exactly.
You mentioned that you moved the business from Wisconsin to Arizona. Is the business still in Wisconsin?
Yep,
You
it
just
is.
opened up another chapter in Arizona?
Yep, exactly. So up in Wisconsin, we've been there for 10 years, and that one's been doing really, really well. And then my parents moved down here about 3 years ago, and I moved here just over a year ago. And we've been in Arizona. We noticed there's a really big need for this. A lot of people, kind of as you were mentioning, might just do straight movers, and sometimes, again, just take things that they might not need or actually want. So oh man, this would be a great need that kind of helps our seniors out.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you accumulate a lifetime of stuff, right? over, I guess the longer maybe they've lived in the house, they're downsizing from. So you I the previous podcast I was talking with George Phillips, from Just in Time Moving, and he was telling me about like hostage shipments and stuff like that. Do you see any sort of like fraud or scams or anything involved in the senior move space that you guys are doing?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a time where there's a lot of stress going on, and there's definitely lots of opportunities for people to maybe want to do things like that. And sort of part of our goal is to make sure that doesn't get anywhere close to happening. We're part of a national organization called NASM, which stands for the National Association of Senior Move Managers. Um, and basically, their main goal is we have to follow a code of ethics that prioritizes our seniors' needs over anything else. And again, there's really no wiggle room on that. We have to prioritize the senior. At the end of the day, they're the ones making the decisions. We just like to sort of think of ourselves as an extension of them. So we never force them to do anything. We always do whatever's in their best interest with any decision that we make. And at the end of the day, it's always prioritizing them. versus sometimes people might just suggest do, an estate clean out or something like that, where they just open their house up. Whereas we kind of more prioritize the seniors' needs and work on their schedule, and identify and kind of go through that process. So it's just sort of a different way of doing it, which really just takes care of the senior more than
Got
anything.
it. Okay, so that NASM group, is that a national
It
group?
is. Yep,
It's all over the United States.
it is.
Okay,
And kind
and
of,
are senior move management companies required to belong to that, or that is that a choice that you
it
make?
is a choice. Just because you can definitely help, like lots of people can definitely help with the downsizing process. But just going to that NASM is sort of that extra layer of, I really want to make sure I'm doing this right. I really want to make sure I'm taking care of the senior in the most appropriate way. We go through extra layers of training each year. We have these conferences where we learn wonderful things about how to take care of our seniors in new ways. So it's just sort of that extra layer of care, that the people who've chose to join NASM are taking just to prioritize the seniors' well-being.
Okay, and so say that there's a senior couple out there and they hire a senior move manager. Okay,
Mhm.
could be any senior move manager, and they have some issues and they can't get them resolved with the company. Um, can they file a complaint with NASM?
They could, and they're pretty responsive. Anytime I've mentioned, and I haven't filed any complaints with NASM personally, so I'm not sure that process. But if every time I have a question for them, their contact information is very accessible on the website, and they always respond to me right away. So they care about this more than most people, and they just want to make sure the organization is still reputable, because to them and to all of us who are part of it, it's really an important program.
Okay. All right. And I'm guessing that you get paid by the client. The client pays you for your services,
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
depending on what all they decide to have you do.
Right. Right.
But I mean, they could. I mean, you're basically like a downsizing slash moving concierge, right? You're going to take care of everything, right?
That's a great way to describe it. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So you're going to have, you've got the realtors and that group of people that are going to help them sell what they need to sell or buy what they need to buy. And then you've got the actual movers that will load the stuff and get it over to the new place and unload it. But then you guys really can handle everything else. And you can schedule the movers and handle all that. So you're right. That takes a lot of stress off, because I know I've moved a few times and it is very stressful, right?
Right.
And one of the biggest stressors is, do I keep this? Do I not keep it? Right? I
Right.
think they've said, if you haven't, like clothes, if you haven't worn them in 6 months, get rid of them. You're not going to wear them. And I still will be like, well, it's only been 7. I might wear this again, right? I
Right.
just need to lose a little bit of weight. I can do it, and
Right.
and then it sits for another year or two, right? So,
Right.
but that's a big stressor, because a lifetime of stuff in the house, that's a lot of memories. And I'm finding that a lot of the younger generation today, they don't necessarily want all those heirlooms, that what we would consider heirlooms.
Mhm.
They don't have a need for it. They don't want it. They don't have the room for it. A lot of different reasons. But so yeah, it makes it more difficult. But I love what you said about, you talk to them about, well, we can get this to somebody who's less fortunate and they are going to love it and they are going to use it.
Mhm.
And in clothes, they're going to wear it.
Mhm.
This outfit might be an outfit they could wear to work, right? So then
Right.
they don't have to go buy
Right.
work clothes and stuff. So that's really great that you guys do that, because I think that helps give the person who's trying to let go of something, it gives it a deeper sense of purpose,
Right.
right? That they know that they're
Exactly.
helping somebody else out. So
Exactly.
that's awesome. So what's the website for NASM?
So it's just www.n, like Nancy, ASMM, like Mary. And again, National Association of Senior Move Managers.
Okay. And is
And
it
it should
.com?
be .com. Yep.
Okay. And does every state have their own chapter of NASM?
No, there's sort of one governing body, and then each individual state just has its move managers that are in it. And sort of the cool thing about NASM too is we're all interconnected with other NASM companies across the country. Oftentimes we'll find individuals who are moving, let's say, from Arizona to a different state or a different state to Arizona. So, for example, I could do the sorting and packing with somebody in Arizona and then help schedule a different NASA member maybe in Virginia, and then they'll do the unpack for them or vice versa. And that way we just know when they get to their new spot, somebody who's, again, following our same principles is going to take good care of them on the other side.
That's great. I was going to ask you that question about moving interstate. I learned that from George. Interstate, from state to state. So yeah, that's fantastic. I'm glad you guys are out there. And so, what's the best thing if seniors are looking, or their family members are are looking to move, and they don't really want to they don't want to deal with all of that? What's the first thing that they should do to, when they research companies, to know that they're dealing with a reputable senior move manager?
Yeah, so we're all listed on NASM's website. So if you're part of NASM, there's a little section where you can say like find my move manager. You can select the state if you want. You can select your zip code, and then it'll give you the senior move managers in that area. Or again, if you're moving to like Ohio, you can search the zip code you're moving into, and it'll tell you the move manager who's going to be in Ohio. So again, that website's really, really helpful and really navigable to find what you
Okay,
need.
so that's really the first place that somebody should go to,
Mm-hmm.
and that they can get a good sense that the move managers that belong to NASM, they're held to a higher standard. You have a code of ethics. You're trained. You have ongoing training, and so not that move managers that aren't part of NASM aren't reputable, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there are some that are reputable that are not part of NASM, but this just gives you that when you don't know who
Right.
you're looking for, you don't have any experience with it, it's always good to have a place to go and do some research,
Right.
right? Instead of just pulling someone's name out of the air,
Right.
or
Right.
off of Google or something like that. So, well, thank you, Zach. I really appreciate this. This is a lot of information, and I can tell you that the next time we move, it will be downsizing, and I am going to have a move manager because I don't want to have to deal with this. It's a lot of work, right? And this is the house where, I mean, the kids have spent the majority of their time, right? So we've accumulated so much stuff.
Right.
So
It's
yeah,
never the most fun process usually, but at the end, everyone's always so happy they did it. They wish they would have done it sooner. They
right.
just feel so relieved and happy. So that's my favorite
Well,
part of the
good.
whole thing.
Good. Awesome. Well, thank you again. I appreciate you coming on and telling us all about you. And before I forget, what's the website for your company?
We're www.reavanti, which is spelled REAVANTI.com.
Okay. Okay. And then we'll put those two websites in the show notes as well.
Okay,
So
awesome.
if people get on and read those, they can click to get directly through.
Awesome.
So
Thank you.
awesome. Well, thank you,
Of
Zach.
course, thank you so much for having me today.
You're welcome. Thanks, Zach, for all of that information. That was just great. I myself didn't really know too much about senior move managers, and you had a wealth of information. I think the most important part was that NASM group, the National Association of Senior Move Management. And it's not a requirement that companies belong to that organization. It's a choice that they make. And that organization is national, and it holds its members to a higher standard. They have a specific code of ethics they have to follow, and they can, get information on other members in different states. So if you're moving into Arizona, out of Arizona, from or to a different state, he can contact a NASM member in that state and find out, who could be there to help you get everything packed up and going. Or if that state's where you're moving to, that they can be ready when you get there and unpacking everything. So they do a lot of, they take a lot of stress away from you if anybody has moved, how stressful it is. And if you don't have any family members around that can help, it becomes more stressful. So they're a great organization. We're going to have NASM's website in our show notes, and we're going to have Zachary's website, Riavanti, in our show notes as well. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you found some value in this. And remember to visit our website at roseadvocacy.org to find some more resources, sign up for our monthly newsletters via email and or mailed. You'll find our social media links on there as well. And don't forget, you're going to want to click subscribe so you don't miss an episode of Let's Talk About Scams.